Okay, so hello everyone. Today we'll be talking about if should Roe versus Wade be overturned by
Paola González.
Lorena Arango.
Manjot Nath.
So the overview. In this presentation, we will be talking about the reasons why we believe that Roe versus Wade should be overturned. Our reasoning is going to be based on science-based research, science, statistics, and reasoning. Overview of primary reasons. Explaining the reasoning behind overturning Roe versus Wade with scientific research and evidence, statistics, and reasoning. Abortion is an issue that gets overlooked when it comes to making it illegal. Abortions is harmful and intrusive to the baby, causing pain and suffering. Roe versus Wade has legal loopholes, which leads to excessive abortions. So the key concepts you will see throughout the presentation will be abortion, which is procedures to end or terminate a pregnancy. Roe versus Wade, Supreme Court landmark case that decided that women's rights to abortion are protected. Fetus, developing baby in the womb, usually after an 8-week period. Embryo, unborn offspring in the development stage at about 2 to 6 weeks. Pro-life, those who believe that abortion is morally wrong and unjust. Pro-choice, those who believe that abortion is morally just. And then overturn, to cause to turn over. So what is Roe versus Wade? Roe versus Wade was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court that established a woman's legal right to an abortion, which was decided on January 22nd, on 1973. The court ruled in a 7-2 decision that women's right to choose an abortion was protected by the privacy rights guaranteed by the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, and the legal presented for the decision was rooted in the 1965 case of Griswold versus Connecticut, which established the right to privacy involving medical procedures. This case was brought to the Supreme Court after the state of Texas started criminalizing abortion for women, and this case has become controversial in recent years as laws are changing for abortions. So, this was a very controversial case that led to having many families everywhere in shock with this decision that was made. This life-changing experience made an impact on women's choice whether the woman keeps the baby or not before it's even born. The problem we have is that the idea of abortion leaves the country split down the middle and no one can decide whether it should be legal or not. Abortion is a very serious topic that affects multiple people beyond the mother and child, and we believe that Roe versus Wade should be overturned. The government should be involved in situations like this where an innocent's life hangs in balance.
So, the significance about this case is that it's really controversial. Some people associate abortion with murder, others associate abortion with a choice, and it's a battle between morals and values. There are many laws and cases that are regarding abortion and limiting access to abortion after Roe versus Wade was decided. The ruling of Roe versus Wade limited the government's ability to be involved in the decision of women's right to abortion. So here's the timeline explaining how the case of Roe versus Wade started and how it's being affected in today's world. So in 1970, Roe versus Wade, this is when the case initially began in the courts. And then on January 22nd, 1973, this is when the Supreme Court made their decision. In 2003, there was a act called the Partial Birth Abortion Ban Act. This act banned abortion of late-term fetuses. This was specifically to ban abortions that were done after the fetus was partially delivered. And then in 2020, there was a case called June Medical Services versus Russo. And the overall idea of this case was that it required doctors who perform abortions to have admitting privileges at a nearby hospital. And this was overturned in the Supreme Court. So why abortion should be illegal? Every right has a person to live, and that includes unborn babies. So unplanned babies are a major reason why abortion is happening in the first place. Abortion becomes an option for many parents, but there are alternative options. Parents can take better precautions, such as taking birth control or putting the baby up for adoption rather than aborting it. And the unborn baby has right to life. Because the fetus is not brought into the world yet, taking its life before giving it a chance is unjust and unfair. There is no value given to life if abortion is legal. So abortion causes harm to unborn fetuses and the mother. So ability to have abortions late term. With the current laws and due to Roe versus Wade, there are some states that allow abortion up till the third trimester. And the pain to the mother is not limited to physical pain. There can be psychological problems, physical problems, and in rare cases can cause infertility in the mothers. Fetal pain. Research shows that pain is inflicted on fetuses after they begin developing their nervous system, which can range about between 20 to 23 weeks. Abortions can and are invasive, causing pain. Some doctors also give anesthesia for the fetus, knowing that the operation is going to cause pain for the unborn baby.
Legalization of abortion led to increased numbers of abortions. Since there is leniency in Roe versus Wade, getting an abortion is more readily accessible, which means that there are an increased number of abortions throughout the United States since its legalizations. So, legal troubles is it goes against the common law of England, which the United States adopted. It's easily explained by William Blackstone. He said, if a woman is quick with child, and by a potion or otherwise killeth it in her womb, this, though not murder, was by the ancient law homicide or manslaughter. The term quick here is used as a way to describe the time of pregnancy when the mother can feel the baby's movements, so around 16 to 18 weeks. Roe distorted this phrase and claimed that the idea being conveyed was that women had the right to abort before this time in the pregnancy, when that was clearly not the message that was being relayed. The English common law predates the 19th century. In those times, a mother couldn't know if she was pregnant for sure through any kind of test until she felt the kicks of the baby. So, Blackstone's point was that abortion is murder when a woman knows she is pregnant, not that it's fine to do before the 16 to 18 weeks.
Abortion issues and effects. Abortion is an issue that is misunderstood and should be taken more seriously. As mentioned in an article, when Roe v. Wade was established, it legalized a woman's right to an abortion, meaning if a woman were to get an abortion right now, no one would go to jail. Having this be legalized makes many take advantage of this to make unnecessary abortions. For instance, if there was like an unplanned pregnancy between a couple and they just didn't want to have the child, they can go and have an abortion, but this was not established for that. And it could possibly pass for like those who have like a health problem or like their life being at risk, like a mother having their life being at risk, then it can pass, or like rape or something to occur. And then also the effects when getting an abortion is, according to an article, the risk and adverse effects of women can get it in its uterine perforation, which is meaning to getting like a hole in there, injuries to intestines, bladder, or blood vessels, and can even lead to maternal death. And what was also mentioned was future pregnancies can have complications of loss or premature delivery due to abortion-related injuries into the cervix or uterus. So that's just like a list of what can happen if you get an abortion. Yeah.
Here's an educational video.
What if Roe versus Wade was overturned? Overturning Roe would not immediately end abortion in America, but it would restore to American people and their elected state representatives the ability and responsibility to protect women and unborn human life. Overturning Roe would mean recognizing that the United States Constitution does not grant a right to abortion. In many states, this could mean that unborn babies are completely protected at all stages of life. In other states, this might mean that pregnant women and their unborn babies will benefit from more legal protections than they have now, but that abortion would remain legal in some circumstances. Importantly, reputable polling consistently reveals that a majority of Americans oppose most of the abortions currently committed in the U.S. and support more stringent limitations and regulations on the practice. Ultimately, overturning Roe would not outlaw abortion, but would be a critical step in correcting the law and affirming that abortion is not a federal constitutional right. What if Roe versus Wade?
Here are some statistics. 619,591 are the number of abortions that were performed in the year 2018 in the US alone. 57.7% of women between the ages of 20 to 29 make up the majority of abortions. And lastly, 92.2% is the amount of abortions done before 13 weeks.
So here is a graph that shows the trends of abortion in the US ranging from 1973 all the way to 2017. So you can see here in 1973, right when Roe versus Wade passed abortion, making it legal, you can see the numbers in abortion went up drastically. And then over the years, the number dramatically decreased. This can be due to that there are more preventative methods that came into play over the recent years. So that's going to lead to our next topic of how we can use prevention.
So the best way to prevent pregnancy is to be abstinent and not have it at all. However, sex is natural and not everyone has it with the intention of having a child. Therefore, here are the ways a person can prevent pregnancy. So firstly, you can get an implant, also known as an IUD, but there's also one that goes in your arm. It has a 98% effectiveness and little maintenance. You have to get it removed every couple of years. It depends on which one you get. And then there's birth control you can use on a schedule, such as the shot, patch, pill, and vaginal ring. It's up to 94% effective, and it has medium maintenance because depending on what you get, you might have to switch it up more recently, like every week or every month. Just depends on what you have. And then you can also have birth control that you use every time you have sex, such as condoms, cervical cap, spermicide, and it's up to 88% effective. Lifestyle, which can be fertility awareness, withdrawal, breastfeeding, it can be up to 98% effective. Abstinent is also part of the lifestyle. I just didn't include it because then it would be 100%, and I don't want to fool people into thinking that. But permanent is sterilization and vasectomy, so it can be up to 99% effective. I do want to note that for everything I put on here, I put the highest rate of effectiveness, so it might be lower, depending on which one it is. For example, withdrawal is like the least reliable one. It's like 77% effective or something like that. So yeah, try to find out what works best for you.
So Planned Parenthood and education. So in many schools, a lot of schools do teach sex education, but there are some who don't have access to it. Many young women end up pregnant with unwanted pregnancies, but sex education in schools for both male and females can prevent that. Having an understanding how pregnancy can affect the body as well as the effects of abortion can possibly lead to less abortions and lower teen pregnancy. Planned Parenthood provides not only birth control, but also sex education and other great medical options, and a great way to prevent any unwanted pregnancy, and a great way to get an education and understanding. This service is for all ages, and it's for both men and women.
In conclusion, Roe versus Wade is a case that affects millions of Americans. Abortion is intrusive for the fetus and it causes pain. An unborn baby has the right to life. Prevention can prevent pregnancies, therefore preventing abortions. Roe versus Wade does not align with the law. And lastly, abortion is not a right.
Thank you for listening to our presentation, and that concludes it.